That you, Sasha?
Hi, how are you?
Seem to have got a lot of feedback.
Yeah, we do, don't we? It seems you might
Go
have
on.
instances of you joining the video. There's two Peter Jones.
Yeah, one of those is my laptop, which I have muted, but I still seem to be getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
Let me start the video on that one. Try and get the bits and bobs sorted out. Right, here we go.
Yeah, no worries. I'm sorting myself out as well. Give me a sec.
Takes a little while, doesn't it?
It does indeed, yeah.
I presume you're doing quite a few of these.
Yeah, just a few. Hang on, it's downloading something. Just give me a second.
Technology, I say, is always a wonderful thing.
Very much so.
Ah, there we are. You got your screen share working?
Yeah, just a little bit. All right.
Okay.
So I don't by any chance?
Yes. Yeah, there we are.
That's a bit better. All right.
Yeah. Okay, hi, good to see you.
You too. We've still got that echo at the moment. Can you hear it?
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do about that. I've definitely got on the main computer which I'm recording. It says I am muted and I'm not starting my video. So
try on one of the computers to turn down the speaker on the same computer.
I know what it is. Yeah, sorry. True. Right, what's that like?
There you go. I think that sorted it.
Yeah, sorry, thank you. Yeah, technical expertise, you see.
There you go, that's it.
Immediate impact. Okay, I'm sorry I kind of didn't have a kind of lot to share with you. I've kind of shared the agenda. I think you wanted to get an idea about agenda.
Yeah.
So if we can sort of dive into it, because we're a little bit short on time and obviously setting up. Just to sort of say briefly, from an outline perspective, the main applications are carer call details, so logging of what calls carers have made and who they visited.
Okay.
There's an HR system that we use. There is obviously we use not Sage, an accounting package that's escaping me for the moment, and general admin.
Okay, so the financial system as well.
My financial system, it'll come to me in a minute. It's on TV a lot, and I used to use it, but there we go.
QuickBooks.
Huh? QuickBooks, yes. QuickBooks. Yeah, okay. Too much stuff going on.
That's all right. And then there's just a normal type of admin. Yeah,
I mean, you know, server space, people's stuff that they're developing, files, Windows, you know, .NET, etc.
Oh, okay. So there's some developments as well.
Oh, I might be wrong about .NET. No, don't. You know, that's outside my domain. I'm an apps man, not a network person.
Right. No worries. Okay.
So what questions do you want to ask? I'll do my best.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share. Are we recording this, by the way? Have you hit record?
We are. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen.
Perfect.
And that will help you. That's a presentation which I'm about to show you. So what I've done is already publish this, and I'm going to get rid of this down here. So what I've done is I created this in something called Confluence, which is an application I use to coordinate all my activities. So there's you participants. I understand that you work at the moment from a Northwest London charity, and you're seeking information around the cloud rather than using what's commonly known as on-premise or server-based areas.
Yeah, sure.
And that one of the things you said on Facebook, you'd be interested in understanding more around the CapEx, capital investment versus the OPEX, the operational costs of running the cloud, because obviously it changes when you end up paying for a service, and then the differences between those expertise around the security aspects of it being in the cloud and it being local on those areas. And you've just included that you have care records where you keep information about when you visit people. You've got a HR system, you've got a finance system, and then you've got some administration around there.
Perfect.
So what I'm going to go along and do is just take you through, from front of my screen, so the way that I operate is really around people, processes, and the technology. Technology really should be something that is just an enabler, but unfortunately we get a bit stuck with the technology sometimes. So it just gives you an idea from the point of view of a structured, repeatable method, an approach that I take when I deal with any of the kind of things I'm dealing with in these kinds of areas. So what I do is start off with a quite an overarching Gantt chart, because people quite like Gantt charts around the different types of projects, all the different cross-cutting themes that may play a part in that. So things like planning around project management, data management, internal communications, collaboration, around contact and inquiry management, including relationship database, relationship management, which was one of the things that you just said about the care records, and information management and governance, making sure we can keep this all in the same place. And just an example, I use a lot of enterprise architecture. Reason why I use enterprise architecture is to stop people reinvesting or needing to spend money on redeveloping new solutions. The best ways of working is having one solution which can apply to all these things on the left-hand side of the screen, and not having separate ones for each one of the different areas. So at the moment, one of the roles I've got is I'm an Office 365 information architect, and what that means is I'm working with, for example, marketing, engagement and comms departments, where they will look into and assist on the delivery, because they know the organisation. They're experts in communications and delivery around the people processes. And then we put those things into the areas of departments, the public, and then obviously the trustees and the governors, because they're the part of the wider reach of the organisation, of the decision-making area. If the trustees don't understand the people, processes and technology, then how can we expect the public and the departments to do so? And we need the trustees to be on board, because this really needs to, anything of this nature needs to come down from the top level. So where do we want to get to? These are the questions I'm looking for. What's the vision? What could the solution look like? And that's what we do on this side. So if you imagine we've got an A4 piece of paper, we divide it. On the other side is, where are we now? What is the current situation, the status of where we are? What problem are we trying to solve? And we call this the baseline. So where are we now? So this is as is and could be. And these are the terminologies that's usually used within areas of this type of area. And then in the steps of how we're going to get from the left side of the screen to the right hand side of the screen. So one of the examples that I'm working on at the moment with a past client was about collaboration of document management, around trying to get document management so everyone inside of the organisation can have documents without relying on emailing it to one another.
Yeah.
They wanted to co-edit those documents, have version control, have approvals. They wanted to understand and be able to compare the documents. They wanted to be able to integrate with the current things that are there. They wanted an audit trail, document approval, and security and governance. So where are we right now? Right now, they've got lots of different things, but they've got no standard around their documentation for administration and management, and they're using different applications, which means massive risks for data breaches, and they don't have a defined approach. So users are making their own solutions, which means they're paying for each one of these areas when they could just pay for one and have more of a streamlined, and again, what I said around enterprise architecture solutions, having one solution that applies to all. The biggest frustration here was a tagline from a comment for one of the people. It was a user engagement piece around them not being able to find anything. So what we do now is we put the steps that we're going to put in place to get us from where we are now to where the vision is going to be. And my responsibility is to make sure the vernacular, the words that are used, are encompassing and inclusive. What I don't want to do is I don't want to alienate you or the other trustees that may be watching the presentation later on. It's the common language, and the technology and the aspects of the real mutual detail is really what you leave to people who are either enterprise consultants or solution architects to be able to break that down into a language which you would be able to understand. And this is the way I go about doing it. So the background is the first bit, the current state, which we get from the left-hand side of the screen. Data for supporting the decision. So this is the information of where people would talk about the due diligence around the things that are needed, and also about the requirements and the features that are needed. So on the left-hand side, there's some of, the right-hand side, we have some of the actual requirements that are needed. We need a measure of success because we're spending money lightly more than anything else, or we're making fundamental changes to an organisation. So we need to understand and look back at that to see how we know if we've actually been successful in what we actually go out and try. And then we need to present to people is a number of options so they can make the decision. Obviously, option one is always, carry on and stay where we are at the moment.
Yeah.
So this one here is for a document management system. At the moment, we don't have any current states of transfer or storage. We have no set policies. First user engagement at the moment was finding out there was definitely a need because there was frustration around the lack of documentation, administration, and management of those things that are there. So what I've done for you is I've basically just mapped out the same things for this particular piece of work.
Yeah.
Same areas. And at the moment, from what I can gather, is we need a flexible, reliable, and secure system which could be in the cloud. And one of the reasons for moving to the cloud is it could remove the hassles of needing to maintain and update the system, allowing you to spend your time and resources in your core business areas, not looking at technology. And I think that's really to some extent what we were looking at. And that's as far as I got really, because unfortunately we haven't had a kickoff meeting, and this was really the kickoff meeting to go along and look at those areas and see what we're looking for. So
that last document was actually quite helpful because I can go through some of those points and explain a bit more about the current situation, which may throw some light on what is and isn't the case currently.
Absolutely, and that's why I did it as a kind of like an icebreaker and an idea of trying to get the idea of the vision kind of like formulating in your mind and looking at some background information is really useful. So as you're talking, I'm going to make some notes that you can see there as well.
Yeah, great. Yeah, if you can go back to that previous screen, and then I can sort of talk and you can make some notes. Yeah, sure. And I will also share the recording when we get to the end, so you can go back and check if you need to.
Yeah, sure. That's great. Okay, there you go.
So actually not this one, but the previous one where you had the previous case study.
There you go.
That's the one. Yeah, perfect. Now, I think we do have some standards and policies on documents. I wouldn't necessarily say that they are entirely rigorous. So yes, there are standards, but I'm not sure that they've been documented and necessarily kept too rigorously. So yeah, I think the consistency bit probably applies. That is something that we would need a system perhaps to help people to make sure that if they are creating documents, then they're doing it in a consistent way. I'm just looking at Dropbox, WeTransfer, network drives. No, I wouldn't say Dropbox and WeTransfer. We have got network drives. Not sure about OneDrive, not sure about SharePoint. Yes, certainly email, and probably a lot of that, and more than is necessary. We have started to use Google Drive to share documents among trustees. Not sure about. There may be some unknown applications, but I don't know them.
Exactly, that's why they're unknown.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, data breach. I'm sure that the risks are always there. What we could use perhaps is an assessment, of what our data risks actually are, because I think at the moment, I would say that it's unknown.
Okay.
Okay, and then you've got your comment. I mean, one of our focuses is very much on staff. I think it's fair to say, I mean, we're a caring organisation anyway. We care for carers, and we also care for staff, and that's very important to us. So I think that if there are things like that, I know we did a staff survey recently, but we were more talking about things like values that we want across the organisation. Caring for staff in particular, caring for carers again. So it was more of that kind of a survey. Not really. It wouldn't really have been a digital type survey where we were saying to people, how easy is it working digitally at the company. So I think that's actually I say about an unknown system that we're using. We are trying to use a small system because we've got a petty cash situation to do with COVID, where we're supplying meals to people who can't get out themselves. We're delivering the meals, and we're looking to adopt a sort of petty cash solution where people, volunteers gone out to buy some food up to about £30, and then we've obviously got to reimburse the volunteer, and obviously seek payment ourselves. So there's a small system that we've looked at in that respect, and I don't know how effectively that's working. I think initial feedback is not very, and there could be others like that. Let me have a look at the other side. So then, I'm not sure about collaboration outside of the organisation. That is something that we could perhaps look at. We've literally through Google Drive, we've probably just started co-editing documents. I think it typically will work currently on the email basis, and that is something that I think we could improve. I'm not sure to what extent that is true, but that's my feeling. Version control, I doubt. I'm just whizzing through this a bit. Oh, you've got Google Drive as file sharing. That may be the direction that we might like to consider, as we've kind of made a start on that. As I say, I think the others is less so. And there might be a little bit of use of Dropbox. Not sure about SharePoint. I doubt we've got audit trails. Document approval, I think, is probably done on a manual basis, so an automation of that might be a step forward. And then security, compliance, and governance. I don't think we've got a. I don't think we've got a status check of that, and it's something that we should probably consider.
Okay.
How's that? How's that as a kind of very, very fast run through?
Yeah, it's absolutely fine. It's pretty normal from the point of view. It really gives me an overall impression of the nature of the things that may be needed and the current state where we are right now.
So what do we do now?
So basically, one of the things I just want to let you know about is, let me bring this back up as well. So this is my website here. It's just me. So from my point of view, I've been around for about 22 years and I specialise in non-for-profits and charities. It's the only places where I work, or possibly the public sector. I don't really have a very much to do with outside of that area with commercial organisations. And what that one of the things that enables me to be, and the bit that I just want to highlight up here, was that I'm methodology and technology agnostic. So I don't believe Google have all the answers, or Microsoft have all the answers, or Facebook have all the answers, or depending on where it was. What I do is look at the vision of where we want to get to, I look at where we are now, and then I recommend the best ways for you to work. And one of the things that I've developed over probably the last 5 years, 6 years of me working within non-for-profits and charities is the fact is that we have major issues around revenue. So for every single pound that we spend on not direct to the values and the mission of the charity or non-for-profit means effectively we're not going to go along and think about how we're going to be fulfilling our obligations as a charitable foundation or a charitable area or non-for-profit. So what I try and do is I leverage as much as possible non-for-profit discounting and free stuff as well. The other difference also is I don't want to create a dependency on me. If I create a dependence on me, as soon as I'm not around within the organisation, it's a vacuum, and then it's difficult for you. So what I want to try and do is establish within the people within the organisation a sense of accountability, responsibility, and empowerment that they can actually deliver these solutions on their own and make them more mature. So I can go along and advise on the best ways and the best products to go along and use. I'm more than happy to go along and set them up. But what I want them people to be able to do is feel like they're in control. I want the organisation to feel that they have the collective collaboration to build it, but also ownership, where the biggest problems that I find with other organisations is that sometimes when you outsource or you look at other independent organisations to do it, they're going to try and create dependency, because for you it's about revenue, for them it's about revenue, it's about making profit, where that's not what I'm interested in doing. I always work normally as an employee through PayYE. I don't own my own limited company, so I pay tax normally like everyone else does. So I'm not there from that trying to do. All I'm really interested in about doing is bringing people together to try and get their values and that vision really recorded, if that makes sense, from a point of view of my ethics and my agenda of how I like to explain it. So what I suggest that that needs to happen from the point of view is, at the moment there seems to be, could you tell me a little bit about this issues around about the servers? Because at the moment you're asking about, should you put things in the cloud or should you put things actually locally? So, and the issues around security, because there seems to be a concern about hacking. Could you give me some background on what that's all about?
Concern about what? Hacking, did you say?
Well, there was
hacking. Sorry, hacking. Yeah.
So you said about the cloud, about servers in the cloud, or
yeah. Let me answer the second one first. I mean, in terms of hacking, I'm not sure that we are aware of the measures that we are taking in that respect, and as such, that's an unknown risk, which is not something that we should have. So that's I would say primarily that's the situation with that. We obviously we're a smallish charity, reasonably self-sufficient, certainly as charities go. Not entirely. We have a sort of a strong. We do have a strong dependency on grant application and provision. But we also have some revenue earning business as well. We're trying to grow that side of it. So, you know, in terms of people hacking in, you know, we do have sensitive data. We don't want people hacking into the sensitive data. And that is something that we would want to be a bit more aware of what it is that we're doing to be safe on that front. Okay. So I think that would be the principal area in terms of hacking. I think what was the other point?
So the issues around about
local, I mean, I think the issue is, which I think you've already referred to. We are to an extent dependent on the support levels that we get currently, which have varied because of COVID. And you could see that would be, it's not unsurprising. However, if we do have issues and we need support, then it's a question of how is that support provided. Now, I think what you're saying is that you would much more rather empower people so that they were able to help themselves. And of course, that's a terrific thing. One of the issues often, though, in my experience, is that whereas some people are technically oriented, quite a lot of people aren't. So it would be a question of finding the right people in order to be able to give them that empowerment. And we also have in terms of staff, there's a very small core staff plus trustees, but a lot of the other staff tend to be quite fluid. So again, it's about understanding, where to put that knowledge in such a way that I think ideally what we'd want to do is put that knowledge in such a way that it has the adaptability to survive, if you like, a staff fluidity of the sort that we do get.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So where did the question come around about where the servers are located? So either on the cloud or locally? Is there a particular need at the moment to replace the servers you've got, or
I think we've got, because we've got physically located servers right now. The question would be, we're all aware that there is stuff up there in the cloud. As you pointed out, we've got things like Amazon Web Services, etc. So there are services out there that would say, just use our service in the cloud. And what we don't know, because we're not in the marketplace, is what the alternatives are and which of those might be better for us.
Right. Okay, that's fine. So
it's a very basic start point, I'm afraid.
No, that's fine. So the first thing that I try and advise, especially charities and non-for-profits, is that when you go out and you buy your own server, you are capitalising it. So you're going out, you're paying £10,000, £5,000 as an example, and then you depreciate that particular asset over a certain amount of time. And what tends to happen in non-for-profits and charities is that they don't want to go along and redo that capital investment, because one, it's tying up cash for a significant amount of time. It's also seeing the value in necessarily that. And what tends to happen is most sales organisations, or most best practice, says that you should keep your email system or your server between 3 and 5 years. What tends to happen in non-for-profits is they sweat that asset for longer, because most people say, well, it'll last 5 years. Well, that's odd, because it's been running for the last 7. So why should I buy it now? And when you do the cost differential between the cloud, you will pay every second of every day for every service that you have from AWS or Azure while you're using it. And if you have an issue where your cash tends to fluctuate, it's exactly like keeping the lights on. If you don't pay it, then you won't have the service. And your HR system, your financial system, your care records could all be in the cloud, and you're not accessible because you haven't been able to pay the monthly subscription for it. Now, that's up to you as a risk to see within your organisation about how your cash flow works, and thinking also in the future of what your cash flow is going to be. The other aspect of it, by putting things in the cloud, one of the advantages that you're going to get, that I put into the presentation, and I'm going to flip back to it because I know it already, is the fact that you're going to leverage the fact that some of the things that you have to deal with now, you don't have to deal with, and you might not be necessarily aware and conscious of them all the time. So the maintenance and the support of it are looked after by the cloud. And one of the most benefit things of there would be email.
We've got about a minute or so. How can we conclude this?
What I'll do is I'll do another recording, which will take about 15 minutes, and I'll send that over to you with these things around my thoughts, the way in which things could go along and move and goes towards.
Thank you.
So send you over a project plan, and then back to me whenever you need to.
That's brilliant. I do apologise for that. As I say, I'm a bit unlucky. Well, maybe it's my bad planning, but I've got back-to-back meetings, so I'm very short of time.
Don't worry about it. I know exactly what they're like. I used to attend when I was a director in one organisation. I used to spend all my time attending meetings and never actually go along and do anything. But all that together, so you can go along and look at those areas. I'll focus the normal common things that non-for-profits and charities have issues around, and I'll send that all over to you as well for the people. And
thank you so much.
To reach out anytime that you feel that you need to.
Perfect. I will look forward to that. That will be really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, that's no problem at all. Have a great day.
Thank you very much indeed.
Cheers. Goodbye.
Cheers. Bye.